Brent Musburger has been fired by the Las Vegas Raiders. We're going to get into more of that and also talk about the possible return of Greg Papa and his history with the Raiders and his dispute with Mark Davis. Now, about Brent Musburger, it does appear to be a firing because the way it's worded here, it doesn't sound like he resigned, right? And we know he has many other gigs that he does in Vegas. He has that sports betting show and all kinds of stuff like that. And here's what he said. He said, "Many thanks to the Raiders organization for the fond memories. I'll miss broadcasting partner Lincoln Kennedy and the radio production crew. What's next? I hear Mike Trout might step down as commissioner of his fantasy league. You never know." So what's next? He is trying to still work. You know, this guy is 83 years old. You thought maybe he was retiring, but it seems like the Raiders let him go. And we know this guy is a recent hire. He replaced Greg Papa, right? For many years, we had Greg Papa out there in the Bay Area. And then when we moved to Vegas, we replaced him with Brent Musburger. And it is sad to see somebody who was working for the organization for over 20 years let go for just some guy who, yes, you know, Brent Musburger is a well-respected broadcaster, but he doesn't really have as deep of a connection with the Raiders and is kind of more of just a bigger national figure. Now, Greg Papa was let go in July of 2018. He met with former President Mark Bardane at dinner, and they told him that he was not going to be going with the Raiders. Now, what had happened actually is it wasn't the fact that they were moving to Vegas what stopped him from, you know, continuing with the Raiders. There was a dispute. There was a dispute between Mark Davis and Greg Papa surrounding Mike Shanahan. Now, in 2015, the rumors floated around and eventually appeared that Mark Davis interviewed Mike Shanahan, and Greg Papa was very upset about this because he has a connection to Al Davis for many years. He's known Al Davis for a long time, a close confidant of his, especially when he was alive and running football operations. And he was upset because Shanahan, Al Davis have never gotten along. They had that huge falling out when Shanahan was the coach for about a year and 3 games. Al Davis fired him. Shanahan claims that he was owed extra money, but Al Davis claims that actually Shanahan owes him money and he gave him a loan. So there's a financial dispute there, and they've always had bad blood between each other. And this is what Greg Papa says. He says literally Shanahan's one of, you know, Al Davis's most hated enemies. You know, it's Pete Rozelle, Marcus Allen, and then Shanahan. So really pissed Greg Papa off that Mark Davis would even entertain the idea that Shanahan could be the coach, and that made Mark Davis upset. They had a phone call. It was a heated exchange. Greg Papa did not apologize for calling him out. And Greg Papa, when he left and was eventually fired, he ended up saying some really intense stuff about the Raiders and about how this is no longer Al Davis's team and this is a new regime, making it sound like Mark Davis is kind of, I guess, breaking with tradition despite being the son of Al Davis. Now, I think, yes, he's going to obviously say more harsh stuff after he's fired. And, you know, maybe that's going a little too far, but obviously he's going to be upset after being fired. However, when he was still employed with the Raiders and just criticized the Shanahan move, I don't really think that was a big enough reason to you know, totally ruin the relationship and consider firing Greg Papa. I think Mark Davis kind of wanted to just not have any critics when he was taking over, and really wanted to silence any people who are going to call him out for breaking with the tradition of Al Davis. Now, you know, the 2015 radio segment, when he did talk about Mike Shanahan, when he did criticize the move, didn't lead to a firing. Like, he was still the broadcaster for future years, but eventually when they did move on to Vegas, they just fired him out of nowhere, and it really kind of hurt Greg Papa. You know, he'd been there for 21 years. But what's funny, as Greg Papa makes this huge stink about Shanahan, but he ends up covering the Niners after being fired for the Raiders, which has Kyle Shanahan. So you're basically covering a Shanahan, even though you totally made a stink with the Raiders about Shanahan. So there's a little contradiction there in a certain way. But we have to think about the possibility of Greg Papa reuniting with the Raiders because, yes, he was covering the Niners, but that contract has long since expired, and now he's technically a free agent. And I was reading a little bit more about NBC Sports and what's going on there. They're having to let go of a lot of people. They don't have that much money, and I don't think they've been making as much money as they originally predicted. And Greg Papa is shockingly or really high paid. You know, I did not know that, but I guess his price tag is pretty expensive. So the Raiders have some cash. I mean, you can afford somebody like Brent Musburger. I would assume Musburger makes more money, you know, as a broadcaster than Greg Papa. But this is a possibility because the guy's a free agent. You know, you had that falling out in 2015, ended up leading to his firing in 2018. Papa said some angry things afterwards. You know, like, you had a falling out, but you could make amends here, and it would make a lot of fans really happy. A lot of fans really miss Greg Papa. A lot of fans know how close he was to Al Davis, and a lot of people just, you know, miss that famous touchdown Raiders call. You know, it's a famous signature call, and, you know, just listening to Greg Papa's coverage in contrast to Brent Musburger, Greg Papa, he just seems like he knows radio more. Like, he's just really more acquainted with radio, and Brent Musburger is more TV-based. And I think Brent Musburger doesn't understand how much detail he actually has to give through audio. You know, and Greg Papa, he kind of knows that you have to approach it like as if the viewer is blind. And so I think he is just a better broadcaster, even from just a technical standpoint, especially when you're doing audio only and radio. So Mark Davis has a shot, and to really make amends here and bring back, in the view of some people, like a Raiders legend. Like, think about me, like, I don't want to totally date myself in my age, but like prior to Musburger, like, it was just Greg Papa. It was Greg Papa pretty much my whole life watching football, you know, as a young kid, you know, in elementary school to today, it was always Greg Papa. So I think it would make a lot of Raiders fans really happy. Let me know what you guys think. Would you guys support Mark Davis, you know, hiring Greg Papa? And there is a straight up possibility, like, Greg Papa, would he turn down that job? I do not think he would turn down that job at all. He's a free agent. The Niners cannot afford him right now. And he even said Vegas wasn't the reason why he stopped. Like, he said he would have been perfectly fine with taking a flight from the Bay Area to Vegas every weekend to cover the games. So there's no issue there. Hey, Mark Davis, if you're watching this, which you're probably not because you're like a billionaire, make it happen. But either ways, shout out to you guys, man. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like this video if you haven't already. This is WiFiWillie of the Raiders Rundown. Peace out, and I hope you're having a good one.